to slavery. Don't be a slave.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
My name is Natu Baba, and some people they say I be superstar. But to me, the real superstars are the people where they go vote for the candidate of their choice without violence. You understand? So for this upcoming election, be my superstar. Go out, go vote.
Hello out there, a very good evening to you. It's Wednesday night and a News Extra night. Hope you're happy. Well, if you are, you make up the statistics that make Nigerians the happiest people on earth. By the way, today is World Happiness Day. We'll come to that later. Meanwhile, News Extra today is, as usual, coming with the extra touch. The Federal Executive Council has moved to make some people happy, especially in the agricultural sector and the Ogoni land. We have stories on the electoral process, latest on yet to be concluded elections, and the political class. Well, we're good to go with stories of development, the National Assembly, health, economy, arts and culture, and happiness. Do stand by for the details. I am Fatima Abbas Hassan, and this is NTA News Extra. Elections are strong parameters for measuring a country's democratic development. That is why, at the conclusion of any electoral cycle, a review of the process becomes imperative. The Senate, at Wednesday's plenary, argued that some of the challenges observed during the 2019 general elections need to be addressed immediately, and therefore resolved to investigate the application of electoral law by the Independent National Electoral Commission during the elections. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo has the details.
One of the two motions considered by the Senate was moved by Senator Dino Melaye and 6 others. It criticized what they described as the use of military in elections and urged the president to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill for an improved electoral process in Nigeria.
Direct the Senate Committee on INEC to investigate all perceived inconsistent application of electoral laws by INEC in the 2019 elections.
We must be able, as elected members and representatives of the people, be able to tell the truth where it should be.
I also want to commend the Chief of Army Staff, who for the benefit, for the image of Nigeria and the military, knew that any allusion, any allegation must be looked into. And he took the bull also by the horn by setting up a committee to look into the involvement of the military. Mr. President, the
Senate leader Ahmed Lawan advised his colleagues to take a holistic review of the process instead of taking them in bits.
It behoves us to look at those issues that we think and are convinced that truly require intervention by the legislature. When and if we're able to do that, we would have provided solution to the issues that Senator Dino Melaye has raised.
There was a seemingly rowdy session as some senators saw the motion as a means of venting personal grievances.
I have the floor. That's what I said.
Those in favor of prayer 4, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, distinguished.
Thereafter, 3 bills were passed. These include the National Fertilizer Quality Control Act Bill, the National Orientation Act Amendment Bill, and the Nigerian Council for Psychologists Establishment Bill. Senate confirmed the appointment of Abdul Abubakar, representing Northwest, as a non-executive director of the Board of Central Bank of Nigeria, while its Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organizations presented its report on the confirmation of Abike Dabri Arewa as Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. Senate observed a minute silence in honor of one of its former members from Benue State, late Joseph Waku, who died on 3rd of February 2019. Well, just like its counterpart in the House of Representatives, the Senate has adjourned to 2nd of April 2019 to enable committees fast-track the defense of the 2019 appropriation bill by ministries, departments and agencies. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
In the meantime, judicial officers, especially justices that are handling election petitions, are being charged to be upright in dispensing justice by upholding the rule of law. The President Court of Appeal, Justice Zainab Bulkachua, gave the charge at an induction course that is underway in Abuja for judicial officers who will be involved in the administration of justice on election matters. Omenka Amarachuku has that report.
Seated here are the justices of the appeal court, preparing for the upcoming challenge ahead. By the end of this week, they will be in their various states of posting to adjudicate over election petitions arising from the 2019 general elections and the appeals that will follow suit by the aggrieved parties.
Each and every one of you would be closely monitored by my office, and I will not hesitate to descend on any judge who is found wanting in the discharge of his or her duties. By the end of this induction training, you'll all be abreast with what is expected of you, and I'm sure by that time, by the time you resume your duty post, you'll be ready to carry out the task assiduously.
The induction course is for judicial officers to cross-fertilize ideas on ways of adjudicating on matters arising from pre-election as well as post-election activities. In Abuja, Omenka Marchuku, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Adamawa State has confirmed the receipt of a court order restraining it from conducting the governorship supplementary election in the state, pending the determination of a principal suit on exclusion of logo of a political party on the ballot paper of the 9th of March governorship election in the state. Tafawa Hamza Mayo tells us more.
Addressing newsmen in Yola, the INEC resident electoral commissioner Adamawa State Hashim Kanagedam said INEC was served with the court order and will honor it. He said INEC legal team will be at the court to do the necessary in line with the provision of the laws of the land.
We will be waiting to hear the outcome of whatever decision the court will take tomorrow. INEC will certainly comply with the order.
According to INEC, whatever the outcome of the court ruling, elections will hold in Nasarawa, Benyeri, and Ubagaya constituencies in the state for the State House of Assembly election.
The order is not connected to the by-election that we have in Nasarawa, Benyeri, where we lost a member who was also a candidate for the state constituency State Assembly elections. We also want to assure you that, assuming that all things are equal, all materials for the supplementary election are in place. And with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The electoral body, however, appealed to the citizenry to support INEC for the success of the election. In Yola, Tafawa, Hamza Mayo, NTA News.
In a related development, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has adjourned the case seeking to stop INEC from collating the governorship election results in Bauchi State to Thursday, the 21st of March 2019. The presiding judge, Justice Inyang Eko, gave the order on Wednesday in Abuja. Olabode Erewa now reports.
The matter, which borders on lack of fair hearing, was filed by the All Progressives Congress and the incumbent Bauchi State Governor Muhammad Abubakar, who is the party's candidate in the March 9 governorship poll. His counsel, Ahmed Raji, senior advocate of Nigeria, confirmed receipt of INEC's counter affidavit challenging the court's jurisdiction to hear the matter. He prayed for a short adjournment to respond to INEC's preliminary objections. The court, while adjourning the case to Thursday, expressed its readiness to give accelerated hearing to the matter. Governor Abubakar and the All Progressives Congress want INEC to revert to its earlier decision that it would hold supplementary elections on 23rd of March 2019 in Tafawa Balewa local government area of Bauchi State. From the Federal High Court in Abuja, Olabode Erewa, NTA News.
The Federal Executive Council has approved over 29 billion naira intervention fund for agriculture in states affected by flooding, insecurity, and other devastating conflicts. Also approved by the Council is 5 more remediation contracts valued at over 3 billion naira for Ogoni cleanup in the Niger Delta. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports on these and other resolutions of the nation's highest policy decision-making body.
With President Muhammadu Buhari presiding, this meeting of the Federal Executive Council, which lasted over 7 hours, is one of the longest to be held under the present administration. Issues relating to sustainable development of agriculture dominated discussions as members engaged the leadership of the National Food Security Council. Consequently, the Council expressed worry over the impact of insecurity and other devastating conflicts on agriculture and resolved to intervene in the worst-hit states of Adamawa, Benue, Borno, Plateau, Taraba, Yobe, and Zamfara.
The National Food Security Council considered the importance of helping them restore activity, particularly agricultural activity. So the council approved 8,558,529,755 naira, and the beneficiaries are estimated at about 69,872 people. And this intervention will provide them with fertilizer, seedlings, chemicals, some of them poultry and animals.
The Council also considered the impact of the recent flooding on food security and approved over 18.9 billion naira fund for intervention in the 14 affected states.
The National Emergency Management Agency statutorily provides support to all states that experience one emergency or the other. But last year there was an unusual flooding in a number of states, about 14 of them. And the National Food Security Council considered the impact of that flooding on the agricultural sector, food production, animal husbandry, and fisheries resources. And today the Council again graciously considered and approved an intervention to provide seedlings, agrochemicals, and fertilizer to 163,117 beneficiaries.
In the area of environment, the Minister Suleiman Hassan secured the approval of the Council for the award of 5 more remediation contracts valued at 3.03 billion naira for the organic cleanup as part of the implementation of the UNEP report.
We were there in January to hand over sites to 16 number companies. Work is on progress. As of today, we've made appreciable progress. Today, we have now awarded 5 more. Why are they coming in phases? The first 16 number were within the threshold of the Ministerial Tenders Board, but these ones are far above the threshold of the Ministerial Tenders Board. That is why it had to come to the Federal Executive Council, and we are glad to say that we have secured approval and the contractors will be handed over to the sites as soon as it is practicably possible.
Meanwhile, the Ivo water supply project in Enugu State, started in 2013, is to be completed soon, following the approval of additional 136 million naira by the council. On his part, Education Minister Adamu announced the approval of 613.3 million naira for the construction of the Faculty of Arts at the Adamawa State University Mubi, saying Nigeria has also signed a safe school declaration and therefore committed to full implementation of the guidelines on global safe school initiatives. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Since February this year, major discussions are dominated by play-out of elections as Nigerians decide on who rules them. Many say the 2019 elections came with surprises and a new pattern of voting. But what is the expectation of the electorate in the choice of leaders that govern them? What are the political developmental strides that stand Nigeria out? Over now to Talatu Ezirike.
It is a globally accepted norm that democracy is government of the people, by the people and for the people. Analysts say Nigerians understand this, but are worried over factors that slow the pace of electoral process. Of concern for many are issues such as the do and die politics, wrong ideology, weak institution, and poor commitment to the pursuit of national interest for overall growth.
We've seen democracy operates that it can be gotten right with the appropriate reforms, and one of the most important reforms is the Electoral Act.
The political class must critically look at, particularly the internal party democracy.
The biggest challenges with the Nigerian democratic experience is actually the humongous cost of governance that we grapple with, to devote a lot more resources to capital expenditure. And so at the end of the day, a great deal of our spending is in the area of recurrent expenditure. And this is not sustainable.
Governance, they say, is about the people, to whom sovereignty belongs. As such, some scholars say issues of social contract be taken seriously at all levels.
What is paramount for us in the private sector is the creation of an enabling environment for investors to strengthen the capacity of this economy to create jobs.
We must sit down and think and come up with a very long-term industrial development master plan and then passion out agricultural value addition oriented policy.
At a time like this, developmentalists will advise on right political culture to advance good governance, and it is generally believed that it's all about unity of purpose to stand Nigeria out in the Committee of Nations. Talati Ezirike, NTA News.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, has described as most ridiculous the claim by the People's Democratic Party's candidate, Atiku Abubakar, that the server of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, indicated that he won the presidential election by 1.6 million votes. In a statement by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Larry Issa Onilu, the APC says it is oblivious of the PDP to discredit the credible presidential electoral process acknowledged by international and domestic observers. The statement said Atiku's constant reference to INEC server as a source clearly shows that he and the PDP targeted to jeopardize INEC's database, as evidenced in the reported programmed card readers retrieved from the party's agents. It urged INEC and security agencies to be vigilant, as Atiku and the PDP seem not ready to come to terms with the crushing defeat it suffered in the hands of the APC. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party has enjoined its members and supporters nationwide not to despair, but work seriously towards the party's victory in the coming supplementary elections across the 6 states of the country. The national chairman of the party, Prince Uche Secondus, stated this during the party's 85th Emergency National Executive Committee's meeting in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf was there and now reports.
One agenda dominated the Emergency National Executive Committee's meeting, the Saturday's 23rd March supplementary election in the 6 states of Adamawa, Benue, Sokoto, Kano, Bauchi and Plateau. National Chairman Uche Secondus assured of the PDP's readiness for the election and implored all stakeholders to play the game according to the rules.
We must not do anything that can cause a breach of the peace, but to remain firm and resolute.
Other speakers, including the PDP vice presidential candidate in the 2019 general election, Peter Obi, all emphasized on the need to sustain the prevailing peace and unity of the country. They urged members and supporters of the PDP to ensure that their conduct is in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution and the electoral law. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
It's now time to take our first break on the program tonight. We will bring you more reports when we return in just a moment. Stay with us.
In the strength, yeah, that comes from the hard knocks that life throws at us. And we Nigerians, yeah, we know all about that. We don't stay down, we get up and fight. My name is Anthony Oluwafemi Olasheni Joshua. There's always been a big piece of my heart that's Nigerian. They always said to me, never give up, dream big. Because after all, we come from a nation of warriors, man. And that's why I believe in Glow. We have that same tenacity, that Nigerian fighting spirit. To win, you've got to step in again and again and again. If you believe in yourself, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Yeah, I used to be a bricklayer in England, but now I'm heavyweight champion of the world.
Always in your corner.
Glow, I halo.
Glow 4G LTE nationwide.
Here you go.
Madam.
That's it. Those nairas are enough.
Hi, dear. Helen! You've got so much even after spending so little.
Savings is such a necessity.
You save everywhere, but here, you lose it all.
How?
With this?
Impossible.
New Tika Apic 10X. Even after applying up to 1 liter of your solution multiple times, you won't get the same cleaning that Apic gives you in a single round.
And the expense?
Far less compared to your 1 liter of solution. New Tika Apic. Toughen cleaning, toughen savings.
What is it that transforms the economies of the world? More than a nation's natural resources, it is about the quality of its people. The UAE has largely transitioned from an oil-driven economy into one that is knowledge-based. And by developing their human capital, others who have little or no natural resources have become global leaders in technology and innovation. We can also do the same. Combining modern skills with entrepreneurship development will give rise to enterprises which can increase the demand and capacity for skilled labor. Our mission at the Industrial Training Fund is to provide the knowledge and skills that can meet this demand, in recognition that this combination is the global currency of the 21st century economies. And so for us, this is what it's all about.
It's good to have you back with us on NTA News Extra tonight. Now, business-oriented agencies are set up to boost revenue generation for government. When 3 revenue-generating agencies this Wednesday appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Intergovernmental Affairs for Budget Defense, the committee members were dismayed that the expenditure of the agencies exceed what they generate annually. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has the details.
Budget defense is essentially to enable the National Assembly obtain details of financial transactions from government agencies in order to ensure that lawmakers allocate appropriate amounts to the agencies for smooth running and enhanced service delivery. During presentations by managements of National Institute for Strategic Studies, Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, and National Lottery Regulatory Commission, the committee was dismayed that all three generate less revenue than their annual expenditure.
We do not have all the required resource persons. So what we do is we bring in people from different resource people from different areas to come to augment what we have.
We are a service providing organization. The Act is also supported by other acts, not just ASPON Act itself. We have the Fiscal Responsibility Act and other acts that have to do with this.
The committee therefore directed the agencies to forward additional details of their transactions for further study.
Whatever we are spending or whatever we are receiving, these things are government money and is the money for the Nigerians.
Speak to us as an agency that is generating funds. Don't tell us that you don't have the power to do it.
You are subsidizing it. Then managers is not properly accounting for what it's doing. There should be a way of making them to pay for whatever service they are getting from you.
Managements of the agencies were also charged to be forward-thinking and pragmatic in meeting the objective for which they were set up. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The wife of the president, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, who is also the global TB ambassador, has called on Nigerians to avail themselves for the diagnostic and treatment of tuberculosis in order to end the deadly disease across the globe. Mrs. Buhari made the call during an outreach TB program in Kobe Village, Kuruduma district of Abuja Municipal Area Council, located at the outskirts of the FCT. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir reports that this is coming preparatory to the 2019 World Tuberculosis Day coming up on the 24th of March.
According to the World Health Organization, WHO, Nigeria is among the 30 high-burden countries of tuberculosis, with about 418,000 new TB cases estimated to have occurred in 2017, of which 104,904 were detected. According to the report, undiscovered or missing cases have contributed in spreading the disease such that one person with untreated tuberculosis can infect 10 to 15 persons annually. In an effort to create more awareness on the dangers of the disease and the need to fight it towards making Nigeria free from tuberculosis, the wife of the president and the global TB ambassador is taking a bold step to reach to every part of this country with an advocacy to end the dreaded disease.
Flag off of screening and diagnosis in Kobe community in FCTs.
While at Kobe community, the wife of the president told the residents to always feel free and come out for diagnosis and medication, emphasizing that TB treatment is free.
TB is one of the killer diseases of our time. Therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to call on all individuals in Nigeria with a history of over 2 weeks of cough and fever to visit the healthcare center that does TB check. The TB screening and treatment is free. So please know your status on TB. Visit the nearest healthcare center to check your status.
The non-governmental organizations comprising Stop TB Partnership Nigeria, USAID, the TB Foundation and the Breakthrough Nigeria, alongside wife of the Vice President Dolapo Shinbajo, promised to remain key stakeholders in achieving the target.
As a mother,
encourages me to call all people to take care of your family, take care of the people around you.
It's a national campaign. She has flagged it off, and all states will key in, right to the local government levels.
They should come out and avail themselves the opportunity of getting treated if they are found to be affected by tuberculosis. All of us who have health in our houses, we should try and make sure that our domestic staffs get tested, because sometimes we overlook this.
I am Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
As you may have noticed on News Extra last week, we brought you highlights to remind you of the implementation of the Mambila hydroelectricity project, the biggest of its kind in Nigeria, expected to harness 3,050 megawatts under Power Sector Development Roadmap of the federal government. Well, we are excited as usual to follow up and serve you fresh from the actualization of another landmark infrastructure project. And going by size, is the third major hydropower plant located northeast of the famous Zungeru town in Niger State. Hamza Musa Makrafi reports that half of the work to get the contract to the finish line and impact 700 megawatts on the national grid has been achieved.
The foundation stone of this project under government's drive of promoting access to electricity for growth and development through renewable energy sources was laid in 2013. It missed achieving progress and completion timeline because soon after take-up, the project stalled.
It couldn't be completed in 60 months. Then also there was another issue which was related with the design of the dam foundation because of issues, critical issues related with the stability of the dam. Then a design change had to be made, so additional investigations have to be done. Because of this, there was a variation work.
But to the Buhari administration, Zungeru hydroelectricity project cannot be abandoned. Initiatives by the government breathe new life into the project to satisfy national aspiration. The contract sum of $1.3 billion is funded with 25% by the Nigerian government and 75% by Chinese government. By meeting this contractual obligation and other key demands sustainably, a unique vision is coming into reality. The functionality of any dam infrastructure is contingent on ceaseless flow of water, so River Kaduna takes the credit as much as the source of the water from Jos in Plateau State, lending credence to promoting unity through management of natural resources for the benefit of Nigerians. There is excitement by a team of the Federal Ministry of Power Works and Housing about the blessings of a river in the emerging engineering wonder, as seeing is believing on the milestones achieved on the project.
What I have seen with my team is very encouraging, because you see everybody on his duty post doing what he knows how to do best. And that means that the work is in progress. And by the deal we have seen, the contractors and the consultants are up to expectation and willing to deliver the project on time.
From a funding perspective, there is no challenge. So you don't have issues of budget delay or the contractor having to wait with regards to releases. So the project is implemented directly from the funding framework that has been front-loaded.
The prospects of huge employment opportunities on a project like this is obvious, with more than 4,380 manpower engagement. Zungeru hydroelectricity project is another low-hanging fruit in actualizing yet another important dream of the Nigerian people and their leadership in advancing power sector development plans. Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
Now, the rice revolution under the Buhari administration did not only take the country out of over-dependence on importation of the produce, but also created job opportunities along the value chain of the production. Musa Baba Aliyu has more on that.
Idris Garba is among dozens of workers engaged by this multi-billion naira rice processing industry located in Kano State. His job is to ensure that the processing machine produces quality and standard rice according to specification.
If our people, they are copying or they are assembling the company like this, then anything will change. But you can see they have money, but they cannot come and make the same this company.
You can generate paddy dealers, train youths on how to buy paddy and supply it to the mills. You can train youths on how to buy finished rice and sell retail or wholesale.
It is a 40,000-ton milling capacity per day, and among the more than 20 processing centers that spring up across the country producing quality rice. Apart from Idris, there are more than 3 million people that are currently working in different rice value chain across the country. This is according to the recent statistics of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and that of Labor and Employment.
I'm working with bagging area as a supervisor. A day we produce like 2,500, 3,000 and 2,800.
Farmers are the major beneficiaries of the rice revolution. Most of the farmers are now producing more than 5 tons per hectare or more, depending on the location, as they adopt the best agronomic practices in the cultivation, harvesting, and storage.
Before farmers, they take the farming as just to get what to eat, but now they take the farming as a business, where we give them training on LBS training at so many states like Adamawa, Taraba, Kano, and Jigawa, and some part of Sokoto and the Kebbi also.
As the rice revolution continued to have impact on the socioeconomic well-being of farmers, their major concerns is the way smuggled rice have continued to surface in the market in Nigeria. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The national cash transfer is one of the 5 components of investment which provides money to households on condition that they comply with certain redefined requirements. Abdullahi Suleiman Iyaji, in this special report, examines the socio-economic impact of this effort by the federal government.
Conditional cash transfer programs are aimed at breaking the cycle of poverty for the next generation through the development of human capital. To realize this objective, the federal government commenced the disbursement of the recovered $322 million Abacha loot through the conditional cash transfer to 302,000 households in 19 states last year. The states are Niger, Kogi, Ekiti, Osun, Oyo, Kwara, Cross River, Bauchi, Gombe, Jigawa, Benue, Taraba, Adama, Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, Plateau, Nasarawa, Anambra, and internally displaced persons camps in Borno. The benefiting households received 5,000 naira monthly, derived from the National Social Register. Today, the National Cash Transfer Program is ongoing in 27 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, where disbursements were flagged off in 3 pilot area councils.
It is a dream come true. The poor and vulnerable households in the Federal Capital Territory have started receiving these stipends so as to go a long way in alleviating some of their problems.
There is palpable excitement in the air as these beneficiaries, drawn from the poor and vulnerable households, gathered for a bi-monthly stipend of 10,000 naira. Finally, the long wait proves worthy.
That 10,000, it can help me in my life. Even if it's 2,000, I can start something.
The conditional cash transfer seems to be a turning point for many who have been met at their point of needs by this federal government intervention aimed at poverty eradication.
All our beneficiaries are being paid directly, with the BVN being an integral part of our design.
I would advise federal governments to step up a little. And at the same time, there are some people, when you give them too much, it will not turn to be a problem to them. That 10,000 will change their life. So I know that after this 10,000, they have more package.
Beneficiaries of the conditional cash transfer are drawn from a social register gathered from data of the poor communities in each state, with certain parameters used to identify the poorest of the poor. Abdullahi Suleiman Yaji, NTA News.
Now, festivals indeed avail us the opportunity to savor our diverse cultural heritage and replay back history. Now, the National Council for Arts and Culture is in the forefront, piloting their affairs, using culture as a tool for national peace and unity. When an annual National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFEST, which would see its 32nd edition, this splendor will be hosted in Benin City, Edo State, in October 2019. Ngufan Shaji reports that the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, has affirmed his commitment to making this edition of NAFEST historic.
Renowned for brass casting in Nigeria, Benin Kingdom is home to arts and craft. And with this conference, the government of Edo State is set to host the 2019 NAFEST edition. The foretaste of what is to be experienced at the National Festival of Arts and Culture, scheduled to hold in Edo State. With its rich festivals rendered in songs, poetry, incantations, royal dances, and unique fashion styles, the ancient Benin Kingdom has remained a cultural hub of Nigeria and Africa at large. Affirming his commitment towards making the National Festival of Arts and Culture a memorable moment, Governor Godwin Obaseki says he is ready to host the world.
Edo State is prepared. Edo State is ever ready. And we have the governor, we have the people, we have the Oba, and we have the ministry ready to take on the responsibility of hosting one of the best ever arts and culture festival in the world.
The Director General of the National Council for Arts and Culture, Otumba Ranshawa, says the festival is a clear demonstration of the critical relevance of culture and building bridges of love and friendship across different ethno-religious divides in Nigeria.
We have rebranded NAFEST. We have skill acquisition, we have waste to wealth, we have free medical. We are touching lives with NAFEST. And that is part of our strategy.
Although NAFEST 2019 is themed Our Royalty, Our Pride, in Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
Now, it is often said that when there is food on the table, it makes a man happy. But really, does it? Or how will you define what makes a man happy? Are you aware that today is World Happiness Day, and for us as Nigerians, what connotes our happiness as a nation? Now, in this report, Ruth Aguele takes a look at the World Happiness Index, which ranks Nigeria 91 in 2018, moving 4 steps up from the previous ranking of 95 in 2017 in the Global Happiness Ranking.
One needs not to be told that these people are happy. Everyone has different views on what makes them happy, and happiness is said to be critical for the well-being and optimum performance of individuals. It is something that everyone wants in life, and that explains why people do different things to be happy or make someone happy. Little wonder then, a day is set aside as the International Day of Happiness, which is celebrated annually to recognize the essence and importance of happiness in the lives of people around the world. A recent poll conducted by NY Polls reveals that Nigerians are a happy people, irrespective of the condition they are.
Now, according to Ralph Waldo Emerson, for every minute you're angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. And according to the experts, having the basic amenities of life is what defines a stable nation. Now, irrespective of the odds, how significant is happiness in a man's life, and how really happy are Nigerians in any circumstance?
Yes, Nigerians are happy people because we still have community kind of living, relationships and everything. There is still that interpersonal good rapport with people. Nigerians have developed a thick skin.
For you to live
and live life to the fullest. You just have to be happy.
The governor of Imo State appointed someone, his sister, a commissioner of happiness, in Imo State, and that shows the kind of people we are in Nigeria.
Now change has come, and the next level. So waiting on the government to see what Nigeria will bring forth.
I'm happy because I have good health. That's the most important thing. Once you have good health, please be happy or no, everything.
In the face of resilience, determination, and never-die spirit of Nigerians, common problems like depression, poverty, and health challenges are a threat to staying happy. So how can this happiness be sustained?
Nigerians do not have cause to be happy at all, if you ask me. The Nigerians are very resilient people. Nigerians are very optimistic people. That's what makes them happy people. Because happiness is all about optimism. Happiness is all about contentment.
This year, Finland tops the ranking of world's happiest country. The World Happiness Report ranks countries on factors that supports well-being, like GDP per capita, freedom, trust, healthy life expectancy, social support, and generosity.
Nigerians have to keep that hope alive. Once they keep that hope alive and keep looking to the end product, whatever they are going through today will not matter too much to them because they know happier days are coming.
There is no doubt that happiness is increasingly considered as another yardstick for measuring social progress and public policy goals, from the worst possible to the best possible life.
Since happiness is a state of the mind, it's not about what you have or who you are. It's about keeping hope alive. And like the theme for this year states, happier together, focusing on what we have in common rather than what divides us. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
Many thanks, Ruth. Now, 7-year-old Success Adego has been trending on the internet for some days now, due to her rant about being chased out of school by the authority for not paying her school fees. Thelma Eliago, in this special report, brings us up to speed with happiness around Little Success and Delta State government's intervention in her case.
On 14th March 2019, a video of a young girl who was angry about being sent out of school for not paying her school fees was uploaded by a sympathetic Nigerian on the internet and has since gone viral.
You never pay now?
I never pay. Let me say I no go pay. I'm going to push it.
Okay, so you wait, but you better not me the flog you or be the same you go tell your mommy.
Flog me.
Why they go flog me?
This video, which came out as a joke, has elicited sympathy from Nigerians who saw her outburst as a cry by a young girl who values education and is determined to go to school beyond all odds.
Success is a very brilliant girl and she's sharp. She's always the first person in the class. Whenever you give her any assignment, if she fails anyone, she will be crying.
Success outburst has also drawn attention to the deplorable state of her school, Okotiebo Primary School in Sapele local government area of Delta State, a school described by many as a disaster waiting to happen. Success outburst has brought to light the need to address the decay in the school. This, the state government is already tackling.
Okotiebo Primary School consists of 2 schools, and we've awarded the contract, but we're dealing with it in phases. So Okotiebo 2, the work has already started, and before we now come to this one.
Back to the matter at hand. I'm sure you are wondering, like me, why Little Success was sent home against the backdrop of free education in the state.
In terms of illegal collections, oh yes, definitely. It's an issue that we've been dealing with for a long while now. It's become a recurring decimal in terms of school heads imposing these levies that are not approved or prescribed by government. We have continuously made it clear to them that you have no right to impose these levies. I conducted preliminary investigation, so I have some information on it. But in the interim, we're going to have to suspend her as head teacher of this school, pending the outcome of the investigation.
This action by the ministry will serve as a deterrent to heads of public schools who engage in these malpractices. Meanwhile, Success outburst has also drawn attention to the dire need of another pupil Precious, who is visually impaired.
I'm actually here to make more payments for other children because people on social media, they got to hear that more children are in need of this help and more payments came in. So that's why I'm actually here this morning to make the payments and also to take the 3 little albino children for their eye treatment.
Yeah, I'm very happy now that success have gone back to school and the government is taking care of that should be granted to stay school.
It is also on record that more than 20 pupils will ultimately benefit from Messiah's success outburst.
Well, what better way to bring happiness to the life of a 7-year-old? We'll be taking another short break now. There'll be more when we return. Do join us again.
From our wonderful family, meet Patty for celebrating the high points of life with friends. And then there's me, Jolly, bringing nourishment to every gathering. Packed with healthy nutrition, nourishing vitamins, power of protein, strength of calcium, revitalizing energy. Hollandia yogurt is bursting with goodness inside and out. Hollandia yogurt, it's all good.
Introducing the new Nivea Dry Impact and Dry Comfort deodorants. Now with quick dry effect and longer lasting fragrance. Guaranteed to keep you feeling dry and fresh all day. Proven 48-hour protection and longer lasting fragrance with the new dry deodorants from Nivea.
I thought leaving the country was the best decision for me and my future.
I left for a better life.
We were picked up by immigration officials and sent to a detention camp.
I spent 8 months in the detention camp. There was no food, no water.
I saw people being beaten like animals.
Some women were raped. Some women were sold as slaves.
I thought I would never see my loved ones again.
I have made the biggest mistake of my life.
I have wasted all my savings.
I have to start all over again.
Migration is a human phenomenon which cannot be stopped. But if we choose to migrate, we advocate that it should be done in a safe, orderly, regular and dignified way, and not in a dangerous and tortuous manner.
This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons.
We're glad to have you back with us, and our Lagos Network studio is where we go live to join our Bolade Salami for business news. Hello there.
Fatima, good evening and welcome to Business News segment. Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma said federal government has planned to cut its stake in joint oil ventures with multinational oil companies to 40% this year. The cut in joint oil assets, Senator Udoma said, is targeted at increasing the nation's revenue. In the meantime, Chairman FIRS Babatunde Fala said number of Nigerians and companies paying value-added tax should increase by the end of the year. He called for a reduction in companies' income tax rate for small businesses in order to improve compliance. Babatunde Fala stressed for an improved collection in company income tax, value-added tax in 2019 relative to revenue collection performance in the year 2018. Financial market players have met in Lagos to enlighten market operators on the need to operate a healthier financial market based on legal documentation. They described the legal documentation process as a standard means to boost growth and development of financial markets.
hedging gives you a better way for CFOs to be able to plan better, because then by hedging you have a constant price that you've already planned, as opposed to leaving yourself to the volatilities of the market. It's very applicable to the capital market. Hedging applies to every financial market, either the capital or the money market.
Currency hedging, for example, importers and exporters in Nigeria would benefit, commodity producers in Nigeria would benefit, and all these grow out of an opening of the market. So what we're seeing today is the new development of new legislation in the Camera Bill that's going to open up the market, and what we're encouraging is the Nigerian market to adopt the international documentation standards.
And still talking equities, markets today closed in the red. Here at today's trading. At the close of midweek trading, Nigeria's equities market finished in the red, depreciating by 0.13% to close the Osha index at 31,040.84 basis points. Volume of shares traded stood at 223 million, valued at 2.16 billion naira, which exchanged hands in 3,409 deals. Market capitalization closed at 11.5 trillion naira. Access, Dangote Flour and GlaxoSmith all posted gains, while Nestle, Better Glass and Cadbury finished in the red territory. The consecutive bearish run resulted in most sectors closing in red, as NSE consumer goods, industrial, insurance, as well as oil and gas closed in the red, depreciating by 0.94%, 0.45%, 0.50% and 0.62%, while NSE banking finished strong, appreciating by 0.91%. That does it on business news. This extra continues with Fatima in Abuja. Good evening.
Many thanks, Abolade. Now, that a building collapsed in Ibadan, leaving some victims still recuperating, is no longer news. That the Oyo State government is still investigating the cause of the collapse is also known. The concern now is how the residents are close to the collapse, who are close to the collapsed building, coping, and what measures are on ground by the authorities to forestall a reoccurrence. It's over now to Larry Beleye, who has been monitoring the situation.
Dauda Fagbemi is an imam and has been living in Shogoye area, Ibadan, for the past 30 years. Also is Rashid Ridwan, a furniture maker, and Adebayo Jalili, a tailor, who moved to the area 2 years ago in pursuit of their livelihood. What connects them for now is the memory of the collapse of the under-construction building in their area.
I'm part of the people that help the people who are inside the building when the building collapsed. So we now beg the governor to come and help us to clear the thing.
One thing that stood out from their account is their uneasiness towards such structures springing up. The Chief Inspector of Koren and the Director General Bureau of Physical Planning and Development Control in Oyo State disclosed the planned action.
We can say at this point that it looks like professionals, registered professionals, are not engaged in the execution of the projects, either as builders or as engineers. However, we'll be able to say for certain who and who are involved after our continued investigation. But we are going to strike appropriate time. We wouldn't want any disaster. Fortunately, the last one, we're lucky, no lives were lost. But then, the subsequent ones that we'll do, those who have developed should start getting ready for us. We have already given them notices, and by the time we will come, they have no choice but to evacuate the building while we pull them down. It's going to be very easy now. The government is going to distribute 33 excavators.
They promised that no stone will be left unturned in unraveling the cause of the collapse. In Ibadan, Larry Beleye, NTA News.
We'd like to apologize for the poor audio in that film report. Now, following the recent collapse of buildings in Lagos and Ibadan, and on the premise of being watchdog of the society, that the Nigerian Television Authority is drawing the attention of relevant authorities as residents of one of the buildings at the FCDA quarters in Abuja are now having nightmares over the dangerous state of their house. Adebola Brooksland Sunday on special assignment picks up the story from here.
The three-story building, which is about collapsing, is located at Block L of FCDA quarters in Afuze Close, Garki 2. On receiving calls from some of the residents, NTA crew swung into action and visited the house. Despite the condition of the building, some of the occupants, including children, were going about their normal life unbothered, while others were afraid of what could happen in the next minutes.
We carry fear and sleep, and we call on court to take control.
This is FCDA quarters. We have fully paid the money because of the level of the cracks in the structure. We don't sleep with our two eyes closed.
After writing to inform the authority on the development, occupants said they were only asked to evacuate without an alternative place to move to.
From the office of the minister, he minuted our application to the coordinator of AMAC. And since then, nothing has been done. And the rain has started. Any moment from now, this building can collapse.
It's sad. They are waiting for this thing to collapse. Then they will come here and start saying, we have already given you notice.
Defected structure like this.
Spokesman of the residents, Ali Musa, wants development control to take responsibility of the challenge.
There was a similar experience like this in Gwarimpa, where the FHA came, took responsibility and relocated the people, came, fixed the place, and then got them back to their houses. So we are anticipating that the authorities in FCDA will do the same thing.
In our usual style of balanced reportage, our crew was at Development Control Unit of Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, where the Assistant Director Building Inspectorate gave their side of the story.
There is no any engineering problem that do not have engineering solution. We advise them to vacate the premises, because if they will remain adamant until it is provided for them, I mean another alternative is provided for them, it may actually take time because of actually bureaucracy. So we advise them to leave there because their life is so precious to us.
The question begging for an answer now is, can the building pass integrity tests of modification? Technically, it appears the whole building has to go down. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Did I hear you say disaster waiting to happen? Well, I hope the authorities do something immediately about that. Now, with the incessant building collapse in the country, no initiative is too much or too insignificant in the narratives to halt the ugly trend. Well, in this narrative, Olajide Bello caught up with an artisan and other key players in the construction industry in Ondo State. He examines the interface between professionals and the artisans in the building industry in that state.
32-year-old Prosper Yeronwasi prides himself as one of the best in what he does. He is an artisan in the building industry, or simply a bricklayer in local parlance. Prosper says he had to drop out of school to learn building construction for 2 years. And for over 10 years, he says he has worked on a number of structures in and around Akure, the Ondo State capital.
For the hotel we're there for Ondo State now, the big one, I don't do almost 4 for inside. The big one, where big very well, where they know say hotel they there, I don't do almost 4. The place where we dey serve now the big work where we dey do.
The likes of Prosper would have worked on any of these structures or any of these beautiful edifices that dotted the landscape of Akure. But how do we know that some of these structures will pass integrity test? More so when it is not sure that qualified professionals are involved in their construction.
We must look at all these little contributory factors. Who made the blocks? How was the blocks made? Who gave the permission? Was the permission given being supervised? Who supervised the building? Did you have any professional that knows his onions on site?
For some professionals, the issue of no adherence to rules and corruption remains critical issues.
We visit sites not only
project size. Engineering establishments can also be regarded as size. When we visit them, we want to ensure that those engaged there are qualified. Those engaged there are trained from time to time. Current has the power to seal a project site once the developer is not following the lines of action that are supposed to be followed.
While the likes of Prosper are very central or important in the construction industry in Nigeria, experts says they must not be left alone on site.
Well, just like the saying, there is a need for a round peg in a round hole. But as for this, I think I'd rather go with my profession and hold the mic. In Akure, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Many thanks, Olajide. Now, perennial flooding is another name for Asaba, the Delta State capital. Every year, it leaves in its trail tales of woes. In the last 1.5 years, the Delta State government has made concerted efforts to stem the tide. This development has been heartwarming to the residents. However, with the rainy season fast approaching, residents have become apprehensive. Why, you may want to find out. From Monica Ndeli.
The storm drain project, which began over a year ago, brought joy to the hearts of residents of Asaba. The reasons were not far-fetched. Firstly, residents in Asaba during the rainy season will sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Secondly, the untold hardship and consequences residents are prone to during the rainy season would become history.
Before, it was no-go area, but for now, thanks to the government and Okowa, the governor himself, the man has tried. Just for Mary and Bangida Road, the man has tried. I give him pass mark for that.
We stand for Okowa for a hard work when you do for us. You do much.
Aside the construction of the storm drain, several roads have been constructed and rehabilitated with necessary precautionary measures to ensure free flow of water in the gutters. This expectedly will assist in flood prevention and also reduce erosion menace. However, it seems the efforts of government still leaves much to be desired.
When rain comes, motor will not be passing all year full of rain. Even some motor will sink, nowhere to pass. We are selling here, we are putting our leg before crossing.
When rain falls, you find it difficult, it's not motorable. You want to go out to get keke will add price for you.
The cheery news is that Delta State government is working assiduously to not only mitigate the consequences of perennial flooding, but to completely eradicate it.
We had rains some few days back, and you could actually see that you did not experience the kind of flooding you're talking about. I think the major areas of linkage are the junctions. Work is going on every day. I can assure you that they will meet their target, and the work is going on.
Whether government's efforts in this direction will be a promise kept, only time will tell. In Asaba, Monica Ndili, NTA News.
Nigeria's anti-human trafficking agency is leading a campaign against human trafficking, coming from the recent experience in Mali. It is good that NAPTIP is now joining hands with national and international bodies to stamp out trafficking as an organized crime out of Nigeria. Usman Ali reports from Benin, the Edo State capital.
It's a campaign which began a few weeks ago in Mali, a country identified as chunk for human trafficking, with an estimated 20,000 Nigerians looking after the federal government for rescue and justice. Testing its own formula, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons is sharpening its teeth to bite, working hand in hand with foreign security agencies. The agency also wants to make it timid and difficult for human smugglers. And in Nigeria, Edo State being famous with the crime, the agency has set a target on sensitization partnership and prosecution. The United Nations Office for Drugs and Crime, International Office for Migration are all collaborating with NAPTIP to stamp out human trafficking, just as Nigeria's security operatives and Edo State government are tactfully devising new methods to deal with the problem.
The problems of human trafficking and irregular migration have become of great national concern, especially with the large number of Nigerians trapped in sexual and labor exploitation in various African and European countries.
It's not just about, dealing with it as a crime. No, it's not going to solve it. We've got to go back to the process. We've got to see how to support the weakest in our communities. Ensure that we begin to reorientate the young ones, give them good education, try to make them feel at home.
And for the young ones, they now understand better how perpetrators lured their victims. Girls in Emagro and Idia colleges of Benin City say, once bitten, twice shy. Usman Aliu, NTA News.
Access to funding, private sector participation and political will on the side of government have been identified as panacea to reducing maternal mortality in Nigeria. Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Adetokunbo Fabanwo, stated this while speaking at the Stephen Oluwole Awokoya Foundation for Science Education in Lagos. Ken Egbeluge was there and our reports.
Nation population and World Bank in 2015 revealed that mortality rate for Nigeria was 814 deaths per 100,000 live births. Professor Adetokunbo Fabanwo attributed this increase in maternal death in the country to various factors. These include unwanted pregnancy by women, excessive bleeding during labor, lack of access to maternity services, amongst others. Professor Fabanwo, however, suggested way forward.
Legislation on the setting up of standard facilities, transportation, so many things that government must make up its mind.
Government will try, but it's not for government alone. Even we ourselves and the staff in the hospitals must be more human and humane in their approach in treating patients.
If we're able to put in place the processes that will help these women right from the time that they get pregnant to the time that they're going to give birth, and the facilities that will take care of them, I think it will be easy.
Meanwhile, 8 postgraduate students received scholarship award from the Stephen Oluwole Awokoya Foundation for Science Education.
People should use whatever they have to encourage intelligent people in Nigeria, so that these young ones can grow up and develop this country.
Stephen Oluwole Awokoya Foundation for Science Education was established 24 years ago. The aim is to promote science education in Nigerian institutions of higher learning. In Lagos, Ken Egbeluge, NTA News.
Time now to take another commercial break. NTA News Extra returns in just a moment. Do stay.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives you feminine, icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Malta Guinness is packed with B vitamins to fuel your greatness on the go.
You're welcome back, and you're just joining us. This is NTA News Extra, reaching you live from the network service of the NTA. The Chief of Air Staff Quarterly Conference has commenced in Abuja with a view to consolidating on the successes achieved in securing the territorial integrity of Nigeria. Najatu Tijani was there and now reports.
This is a high-powered conference attended by senior air officers. In his opening remarks, the Chief of the Air Staff talked about the restructuring that the Nigerian Air Force has undergone in the last 3.5 years. This conference will consolidate on those achievements while implementing policies and plans that will take the Nigerian Air Force to greater heights in line with international best practices. The Chief of the Air Staff also hinted at the acquisition of new logistics, including gunships.
We are expecting the Augusta 109 power helicopter gunship from Italy, and the President and Commander-in-Chief will be invited to induct the gunship in a ceremony.
The acquisition will boost ongoing counter-terrorism operations in the northeast, as well as upgrade the Nigerian Air Force fleet. Also on the agenda at the two-day conference are security briefs and projections for the next quarter. Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olonishakin, has also inaugurated the Nigerian Air Force Geospatial Intelligence Data Center, equipped with high-tech hardware and software.
The output of the center will no doubt go a long way to assist in our fight against insurgency.
The center is expected to support Nigerian Air Force operations, as well as collaborate with other security agencies during joint operations and in the area of crisis and disaster management.
Providing support to the initiative with their expertise were the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service and other dignitaries. The center will deploy satellites and other space technologies for greater efficiency. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
The Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Abhay Thakur, has reiterated the commitment of his country to supporting Nigeria in the quest of eradicating the remnant of the Boko Haram terrorist group from the northeastern part of the country. The High Commissioner gave the commitment while on a working visit to the office of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the details.
India, with a population of 1.3 billion, was instrumental in the establishment of the Nigerian Defense Academy in 1964. While India fought terrorism for over 3 decades, the Nigerian military technically degraded the Boko Haram terrorist group within 9 years. This visit provides an avenue for further collaboration in the quest to eradicate terrorism, a common global threat.
We have built upon our collaboration with Nigeria in the past, which was essentially along the lines of trainings. I'm very happy to note that we have hopefully managed to infuse some new thinking in terms of upscaling our cooperation to newer areas and at a larger, in a larger format.
We will continue to look for avenues to which we will utilize your wealth of experience and your defense industrial complex that has developed to very high standards. I know your capabilities in handling technical support to us in the T-55 and the T-72 tanks.
Similarly, the newly appointed head of the United States Army Africa, Major General Roger Cloutier, was also at the Army headquarters Abuja, where he promised close collaboration with Nigeria. From the Nigerian Army headquarters in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Cultism and kidnapping for ritual purposes have been a trend in Lagos, and the police is determined to tackle it head-on. The State Police Command stressed this as it sympathizes with the family of a schoolgirl killed by stray bullet when its men engaged a group of cultists in Ikorodu area of Lagos. Jessica Moses has that report.
The incident, which claimed the life of a school girl at Adamo in Ikorodu area of the state, the police public relations officer Bala Elkana noted that the encounter between the cult group led to the unfortunate development. The cult group, who according to him also injured 2 police officers, were using human to shield themselves from arrest, leading to the incident.
There was also an attempt to attack our police station at that particular area. The hoodlums mobilized and stormed the police station. They first of all attacked our patrol team, which reinforcement helped in rescuing them.
Mr. Elkanah stressed that the State Police Command empathizes with the victim's family in this grieving moment.
To be candid with you, there is no amount of money that can serve as compensation for a life lost. So if I use the word that compensation will be given, that it will be an insult to the young girl who died without planning for it as a result of criminal activities in their area. But I assure you that the command will be with the family.
The State Police Command, according to the PPRO, has also rejigged its anti-cultism unit to tackle the menace of cultism. He charged the youths in the state to rechannel their energy as the police are ready to combat the menace. In Lagos, Jessica Moses, NTA News.
Another commercial break, Bacons. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Don't go away.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Saturday, 23rd March 2019 marks the 40th day of the passing of Her Excellency Hajia Zainab Mfonmena, the former First Lady of Borno State. She is survived by children, a wonderful sister, an amazing friend who showed up when you needed a friend, and a legacy builder. The 40th day prayer will be held at the family home in Kaduna by 10 a.m. The family of late Colonel Lewan Mena, announcer.
Good to have you back. And now for stories from other parts of the globe, Ado Adamalso is our guide.
Hello and glad to have you join us on this segment of the news. The United Nations says Cyclone Idai has triggered a massive disaster in southern Africa, affecting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. The region has been hit by widespread flooding and devastation affecting Mozambique, Zimbabwe and Malawi. Mozambique's President Filipe Nyusi called it a humanitarian disaster of great proportion. In Zimbabwe, the government says 98 persons have been killed and more than 200 others are missing. The Red Cross has warned there could be outbreak of waterborne diseases, including cholera, due to the expected